Hi y'all, it's Erica with Sweet Tea Astrology and Tarot, and I'm here to give a little bit of personal perspective as to what's been going on in my world. I've had a lot of emails and messages sent to me over the past week, and I've really been very delayed in trying to get back to y'all. I'm very, very sorry. There has been a personal tragedy that has erupted in my world, and I'm going to discuss it with y'all a little bit and break it down on an astrological level to explain it to myself and for my dear friend when the time comes. And I'll probably get emotional. I apologize. Before I dive off into this, let me quickly say that in the description I will have the order of the full moon forecast that I will be doing this week and releasing before the full moon. I've gone through and done the tallies, so that will be in the description below. But from here on out, I will be devoting this video to the memory of Angela Jane Lively. Angela, Miss Angie, Mama Jammer, as I used to call her, was my dear Piscean best friend's mother. And she was taken from us on the evening of May 30th this year. It's still very fresh. We had a service for her late last week, and now the real work begins. Angie was born on September 30th, 1961, and she passed away May 30th, 2016. Angela was the victim of domestic violence. Her husband of 12 years brutally murdered her. And astrology speaks to some of that. How I say, or those of you who have been following this channel have heard me say that astrology speaks, but it speaks in different ways, and it depends on how it speaks in your chart, different aspects. I don't have Angela's birth time. I'm not going to go digging into her natal chart right now. But to give an overall perspective as to what happened, let's do this. On May the 30th, Mars was perigee, which means it was very big and very bright from our perspective here on Earth. And the last time that we had seen Mars this big and this bright was back in 2005. Mars had just recently retrograded back into the sign of Scorpio. The planet Mars, the moon, and there had been a full moon in conjunct with this, and the fixed star Taurus were all very close in April and May. Mars is Scorpio's ancient ruling planet. So, here's a little bit that I do know about Angela. Her sun sign was Libra. I don't know anything about her murderer's chart, because that's what he is. I believe he had strong Sagittarius, and there was strong Scorpio energy in them, in their relationship. Mars can be destructive, and Mars can be constructive. It just depends on how you utilize the energy. But Mars is the planet of action, and here are some of the things that Mars is associated with. Passion, aggression, violence, weapons, accidents, sexuality, masculinity. And Mars rules Aries, and it's the ancient ruler of Scorpio, so that would be the 1st and the 8th house as well, respectively. Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto, and the Plutonic side of Scorpio deals with life, death, and rebirth, also deals with destruction and death, and it also speaks to crime. Life, death, and rebirth other people's money, and sexuality are all energies that are associated with Scorpio. Scorpio also rules the 8th house. And Taurus is a fixed star known as the heart of the Scorpion, and it is a red-green star in the middle of the constellation of Scorpio. And it speaks to malevolence, dangerous fatality, strategic ability, violent death by battle, process of law, fire, or weaponry. My best friend's mother was murdered by her husband. She was shot point blank in the back of the head while she was on Facebook Messenger with her daughter. And I have yet to be able to fully wrap my brain around it. I'm in shock. I've got my candle lit for Angie. I've had a candle lit since it happened for her. Some interesting things though. The night of May the 30th, Mars was transiting very closely to Earth, and I was not able to sleep at all that night. And sleep is normally something that I have a problem with anyways post-fire. Aunt Taurus is actually in my first house, and so I'm very familiar with that kind of energy that it can bring. And I've been quite nervous, honestly, about it, because I know just enough about astrology to be worried about things. And I'm an over-worrier. I can't help that. But my best friend knew the morning after. Her mom was always at her house to help see about the granddaughter. And the baby had swim lessons at 8 o'clock, or had swim lessons, I guess, at 9, but Miss Angela was always there at 8. And when she wasn't there at 8:05, my friend said, Erica, I just knew something horrible had happened, and I knew there was nothing I could do about it. So I just waited and hoped I was wrong and that my mom would call me, and she never did. So at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, she went over to her mom's house and tried to claw her way through a door. Her key would not work to unlock the house. I believe the same thing that screamed for me to wake up in the middle of that house fire in October of 2014 was standing on the other side of that door, keeping my best friend from seeing the carnage that had occurred. Because Eric Lively didn't just shoot Angela Lively. He went into the living room and committed suicide himself. He did not leave my dear friend, Angela's only child, any sort of letter, any sort of reasoning. She has been left to pick up his mess. And I'm trying to make sense of what's happened in the only way that I know how. I reached out to astrology after the fire, my house fire, that almost killed me. Because I'm a Y person, and I couldn't handle the idea of a benevolent, loving God just allowing the kind of things that have occurred in my life to happen. I needed something to explain it, and astrology explained it in ways that nothing ever else did for me. I know none of y'all knew who Angie was, and it's hard for you to understand why I would be so deeply affected. I knew Angela for almost 20 years. I was best friends with her daughter for pretty much the entirety of that time. Angela was a devoted mother. She was a single mother, and she lived her life for Steph. And she was living her life for that grandbaby. And Eric took her from them. I'm going to try to get my hands at one point on Angela's birth time, so I can do a transit report and see if there were any hidden things, so I can help my friend get the answers that she is going to want and need. I feel as though Angela has reached out to me. She's not with me anymore, but right after it happened, her daughter called me that next day when she found her, or when the cops found her. And I went over to her house, and I did the best I could to be of any sort of comfort to my friend that I could be. And on the way home, I felt this pit in my stomach, but I wasn't scared. It was just sadness. And I started talking, and I was talking to Angie, because I truly believe that when a life is taken like that, the spirit has a hard time understanding what is going on and has to process that. There are things that have to be handled before they can move on. And I believe that Angie wanted to be with her daughter, but couldn't stand to see her so sad. So I told her, driving down I-20 in North Louisiana, I said, Angie, if you want to bunk with me, you can. And I believe that she did. I would see bright white, yellow orbs with a red, hot pink kind of center. Sometimes they were like the flutter of butterflies in my peripheral vision, and sometimes it was as big as like a basketball. I'm just now starting to feel like I'm getting some of my energy back, and I call it what you will, laugh if you want, it doesn't really matter to me at this point. But I told her that evening that I would straight up Whoopi Goldberg for her if I needed to, evoking the idea of ghost, giving her and her mother an opportunity to say goodbye. And I still intend on doing that if it is needed or required. But I won't offer it right now. It's too fresh. But really, I've rambled. I've explained kind of what was going on in the sky. I've also explained that I feel as though Angie has reached out to me. I know that she's reached out to her daughter because her daughter told me the morning of the wake, Miss Angie was cremated. We didn't have a funeral because of many different reasons, but we had a service for her, and her daughter said, my mama kept telling me all morning to stop crying while I was getting ready. And I said, you needed to hear it. And she said, Eric, am I going crazy? And I said, absolutely not. I'm a firm believer that energy never dies. I think Nikola Tesla was one of the most brilliant men that has ever lived on the earth. And I've had to come to face with my mortality on more than one occasion, and I'm a firm believer that energy never dies. And the amount of love that Angie had in her heart for her daughter and granddaughter can't be contained by a ceramic urn or a metal box. No, 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 no. Angie is very, very close to them and will continue to be, because that's where her heaven is. And that brings me some comfort. So, I'm sorry that I rambled. Given the circumstances, I think you can understand as to why I would. If you've made it to this point of the video, thank you so much. I'm sorry that it kind of turned into a therapy session, but my heart is truly broken for my friend. But my heart is full of joy that there are good people in the world that would listen to a stranger like me ramble on about a beautiful soul like Angie and her daughter. And that means the world to me. Thank you. So, I'm going to get myself together. I've already done my research for the full moon. It's just been a very, very busy week. If I do end up dropping off the radar again, it's probably because I'm helping my friend. It's always darkest before dawn, and we haven't even hit dusk yet. Thank y'all so much for following this channel, for liking and sharing and subscribing to my videos. Thank you for the outreach. Thank you so much for trying to contact me, and please forgive me for my delayed responses. I'll get to y'all as soon as I can. I just wanted to touch base. Like I said in the introduction, the order of the full moon videos I'm going to post in the description below, but I really needed to put something out there for Angie because I saw that the story had been picked up by the Associated Press. I'm sorry. I saw that her story had been picked up by the Associated Press, and it probably was something that you read in the news or heard about, if you're in North America. And she didn't deserve that. She deserved to have a story talking about what a great mom and grandma she was, not how some sad, sick, twisted son of a bitch decided to take her from this world. With that, thank y'all. I appreciate it, and I'll be back for the full moon videos. I'll probably start doing them tomorrow. I need a little bit more time. Until then, y'all take care of yourselves, and namaste.